The gentleman yields, and I now recognize Ms. Brown from Ohio for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I wanted to wave on to today's hearing because the General Service Administration is rushing to sell a piece of federal infrastructure in my district, the Anthony J. Celebrezzi Federal Building in downtown Cleveland. Let me be clear, this isn't just the sale of a building. It's a reckless decision that could destabilize essential services for my constituents, displace some 4,000 federal employees, and deal a blow to the local economy. The Celebrezzi houses the IRS, the Veterans Benefits Administration, the Defense Finance and Accounting Services, DHS, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. These are the people ensuring tax seasons run smoothly, our veterans get their benefits, and military payroll is processed accordingly. Selling this building, especially on an expedited 3-year timeline compared to the usual 10 years this takes, is short-sighted and misguided. And what it really represents is another example of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's chaotic and careless approach to cost-cutting. In fact, cost-cutting is too generous. What they are really doing is looting the federal government and stripping it for parts. This sale could result in reduced public access to services, lower job security for thousands of workers, and a ripple effect throughout Cleveland's downtown economy. Local businesses, public transit, and city revenues all depend on the federal footprint of this building. The administration promises to relocate workers to other spaces in Cleveland. That's great. But how? How can their word be trusted? They are selling a building while forcing workers to return to the office. They claim they will look for new lease space as they simultaneously cancel leases nationwide. And they are firing federal workers that provide my constituents and the American people with critical programs and services. So what assurances do we have that they'll actually maintain staffing levels and secure new space for the agencies affected? Or is this just another slash and burn strategy, a thinly veiled attack on the federal workforce under the guise of reform? This building is an anchor for downtown Cleveland. Removing this presence will not only leave a void in the heart of Cleveland, it will undermine the progress that we've made in revitalizing the city. There is a responsible way to reduce and consolidate the federal government's real estate portfolio, but this hasty decision is not it. So, Mr. Kendall, can you tell us how does GSA balance the social and community impacts like job loss, transit disruption, and economic disinvestment with the needs of the agency?
That's a difficult question. GSA defers to end-user agencies in terms of what their space needs are. They really are a reactive organization in terms of finding space. They typically, the rule is to use own space, and if that's not available, to lease space. The Celebrezzi building, I don't know the particulars of it. If there's not an exigency about selling it because it constitutes a life safety threat to the occupants, it doesn't have to be moved. I mean, part of the argument here today is that federal workers are being put in opulent space, lease space, and incurring great costs, but they could be retained in maybe Class B or B minus federally owned buildings and avoid lease costs. GSA is all about avoiding lease costs. So I don't know specifically about the mission needs of the agencies that are housed in that building, but my sense would be GSA is deferential to those concerns.
So given your experience at the GSA, how would you characterize the administration's rushed approach? Would their rushed approach to decision-making and shortening the disposal timeline lead to more efficiencies or less?
I think that there is a lot of haste going on today, and I think it is ill thought through. I think that a much more deliberate approach should be taken to deciding what buildings to retain and what to get rid of. I also think that the staffing levels are endangering GSA's, the reduction in staffing. I understand 63% of the PBS employees are to be terminated. That's 3 out of every 5. I don't know how it was determined, how they reached that number, and in consideration of what mission needs are and what types and numbers of employees you need to execute.
So the
I'm
last thing I
concerned.
want to get before I run out of time, this question in, is the list reported that building utilization is a contributing factor to the need for management of federal property. How is the president's return to work impacting GAO's analysis of federal real estate?
The
Sorry, thank
gentlelady's
you.
out of time.